Yeah. So here, me and Mom are here at Queen Mary, waiting for the tour to start at 12:05. So here is the gift shop. We just checked out their gift shop. Very nice gift shop. Hoodies and whatnot. You got the book. Ito, check natin to. Huh? Yeah. Ayaw naman niya eh. She doesn't, she prefers mall. You know how she is. She likes mall better than historical landmarks. Let's see, what's this? Poster? You want this one, Ma? It's a kind of like a sweatshirt slash hoodie. It said Queen.
Ayun, Queen.
Birdstone earrings. That's nice. How much are they charging?
This 50-foot breeze is entitled Sword Mask. As we're passing by and all the figures are Portside Marketplace that was originally our first-class library. On Sundays, that room of double as the Untitled Chapter. Starboard Shop right over here was originally our first-class library.
Look, I think your model. You know. At the restaurant. Restaurant. And that's what's inside the ship. Although the sun glare doesn't really shows in my camera, I'm gonna videotape on the other side. Because of the sun, it's not showing in the camera too much. Britannia, 1840. Glory Days tour holding area. Queen Mary. First class children's playroom, late 1930s. So this is the place where it's rumored to be haunted. Laughter of kids and whatnot. So they said the playroom area is the most haunted one of all. And there are stories that sometimes they see kids inside this room, like playing. So this is the playroom. So you sometimes see ghosts, so you hear ghosts of children playing around. Well, if you're a kid, you can't be blamed for enjoying a playroom. I'm just waiting for my mom. I took her here because this is my second time here and she hasn't been. So I'm just waiting for her to finish up at that women's restroom. And if you go here, that's the Queen Salon. It's locked. And that is the meeting spot for the tour if you go all the way straight.
Step right over here by the windows for me. Come on in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, formal introduction. My name is Chris. I'm the Chief Officer here on board the ship. It is my pleasure to welcome you aboard for the Glory Days tour. Now, on this tour, we will cover the first class passenger experience, what it was like to travel aboard the ship, what it might have even been like to work on board the ship, or be a soldier carried aboard the ship. Now, before we get underway, I'd like to know how many of you are first-time visitors to the Queen Mary? Most of you, excellent. Glad to have you aboard. Welcome back if you are returning. Now, does anybody have a family member who has sailed on the Queen Mary? Every once in a while I get somebody. We carried well over 2 million passengers. Chances are you do know somebody who has a family member who has been on our ship. My mother was a passenger of the ship in 1962. My grandparents, 1937. The ship, she's in my family. She's in my blood. By the end of the tour, she's going to be in your family as well. Now, you are aboard the RMS Queen Mary.
RMS stands for Royal Mail Ship. We delivered the Royal Mail under contract with the British government. The plans for our ship started in 1926. Our construction began December 1st of 1930. We were built at the John Brown Shipyard in Clydebank, Scotland. 1 year and 10 days after construction started, everything stopped. This was due to the Great Depression. The Cunard Line ran out of cash. And so they went to the British government asking for financial assistance. The British government said yes, but you must merge with your chief rival, another ocean liner company that was also undergoing financial strain. That other company was known as the White Star Line. Why have you heard of the White Star Line?
Titanic.
They built the Titanic, indeed, the glorious grand ocean liner that was not supposed to meet her fate 18 years prior to our construction even beginning. And so the two companies did merge, forming Cunard White Star Limited. Construction on the ship resumed in early 1934. By September of that year, the ship was ready to be launched. Now, when a ship is launched, that's not the maiden voyage, that's just when she goes into the water for the first time. Construction lasts another year and a half. It's called the outfitting of the ship, where we put in the engines, the superstructure above, and all the beautiful decoration inside. Our maiden voyage was May 27th, 1936. We sailed from Southampton, England, made one stop at Cherbourg, France, before heading on to New York Harbor. That crossing of 3,400 miles took 5.5 days end to end. But back in the sailing days, there was a prize for the ship to make the record, the crossing the fastest. The crossing of the Atlantic is defined by a pair of lighthouses, 2,900 miles apart. The ship that can make it between those two earns what's called the Blue Riband, R-I-B-A-N-D. It's basically a large blue pennant you are allowed to fly off the back of your ship. It was expected we would earn the title on our maiden voyage. We did not. We ran into fog, we slowed down out of precaution. 6 voyages later, in August of 1936, we would claim the prize with a crossing time of 4 days, 27 minutes. The record holder before us was the French liner, the Normandy. She did not like losing her title. She took it back from us in 1937. We also did not like losing the title. In 1938, we modified the propellers to a more efficient design. We reclaimed the prize with a crossing time of 3 days, 21 hours, 48 minutes. A record we would hold for 14 years. Until the SS United States came into service in 1952, this was the world's fastest passenger ship. September of 1939, war is declared in Europe. We cannot return to England. We would have been a major target. And so we stayed in New York Harbor for months figuring out what to do with the Queen Mary. Do we scrap the ship and use the steel for the war effort? That would have seemed like a bit of a waste. We were only 3. So ultimately the decision was made to draft us into military service. Because of our immense size and speed, we made for an excellent troop transport. The entire ship was painted dull battleship gray for camouflage. That includes every single window and porthole so light wouldn't give us away at night. We sailed the world picking up soldiers everywhere we could, sailing under the nickname, the Grey Ghost. We went down to Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, India, Africa. After 1941, we picked up soldiers here in America. By the end of the war, we had made 72 voyages, covering 600,000 miles. We carried 810,000 soldiers. Sir Winston Churchill said we were so valuable to World War II, we shortened the war by a year. We were so valuable to the war effort, Adolf Hitler had put a bounty on us. $250,000 payable to any submarine who could sink us and get us out of the way. Obviously nobody ever collected that prize. Now, at the end of the war in 1946, we had to bring everybody back home. This did not complete our military responsibilities, because once we brought the soldiers home, we had to go back to collect the new war brides, the women, the wives, the children of the American service members. It took 13 voyages to get all 22,000 of them back home. In July of 1947, we returned to our passenger life, and for the next 20 years, we ruled the North Atlantic as the most popular ocean liner of the day. 1958 began the era of the transatlantic jet. Air travel would soon put all of us large ships out of business. By 1963, more people were flying than sailing. By 1965, there would often be more crew members on board than passengers. By 1967, the Cunard Line was operating at a loss and decided to list all of their ocean liners for sale. The beautiful city of Long Beach offered the winning bid. The winning bid for the Queen Mary, $3,450,000. That's it. A steal, a fraction of her building cost. The trick, we had to get here. So on October 31st, 1967, we set sail from Southampton for the last time and headed south, with about 1,000 passengers on board, half our normal number of 2,000. Panama Canal in 1967 was 110 feet wide. We are 118. We were too wide to fit through the Panama Canal by 8 feet, and we had to go all the way down around South America and come all the way back up the other side. A 39-day voyage to Long Beach, with most of the 1,000 passengers still with us. Some of them flew home halfway through, said it's just too much. We arrived here December 9, 1967, started work on the Hotel Convention Center Museum and attraction you see today. We opened to the public in May of 1971. April 15th of 1993, we were honored to be added to the National Register of Historic Places with historic significance. Now that is a lot of history in a very short period of time. Before I continue on, does anybody have any questions so far? No? Fantastic. Follow me right up this way. Fit together. Every porthole, smokestack, cloud in the sky is its own individual piece of wood. We earned another nickname besides the Gray Ghost. We were known as the Ship of Beautiful Woods. 56 different varieties of wood are used to decorate the ship. 37 of them are on display here in this panel. To know which type of wood you're looking at, you start here at the bottom, count your way up and over the rays, head over to the chart on the side and count your way down. There are some very exotic sounding woods on board, from Caroba, Thuya, Zebrano, Hadouk, woods from around the world. Now, this panel is not original to our ship. Originally, there was a pair of elevator doors right here. But of the 22 elevators that we used to have on board the ship, we are only using 5 of them these days, including the 2 over on the port side, the matching set to this pair here. This panel was in the showroom of the company that supplied us with many of our woods. And in the 1980s, it was donated to us. Fits nicely here over what used to be the elevator doors. Now, there have been a few changes to this area since our sailing days. The flooring you are standing on is modern. It's linoleum. It's durable, but it's slippery. Not suitable for a ship of the North Atlantic. The original flooring was very similar in color and pattern, but it was more spongy. It was made out of rubber or cork. It's called corkoid or rubeolium. That allows you to dig in a little bit in rough weather so you didn't slide too much. Another change that has been made, in 1947, the leather paneling was installed over the original chestnut oak. The leather paneling brightens the room up and also cuts the echo down just a bit. Right, let's continue on forward. Tobacco, small souvenirs. Portside Marketplace was the first-class library and reading room. It also doubled as the Anglican chapel. Starboard Shop was the drawing room, a nice room to retire to after a fine meal, to relax and withdraw from the noise of the ship. This was also the Catholic chapel for Sunday service. And behind me, the Centerline Boutique was the Austin Reed men's department store. A gentleman could get a nice fine suit or tie on board for his voyage. A gentleman in first class in the 1930s could carry upwards of 25 or 30 changes of clothes for a 5-day crossing. 5 to 6 outfits per day, depending on your activities. Unfortunately, ladies, you were out of luck. We did not sell women's clothes aboard the ship. Back in the 1930s, it was considered rude for 2 ladies to be seen wearing the same outfit. We didn't have enough room to stock that much variety, so your clothes would have been prepared prior to the voyage. Now there's another piece of artwork here in the main hall before we continue on. Above the Centerline Boutique, that is a piece known as a frieze. A frieze is a decorative band, usually lining the top of the wall or building. Our frieze is 50 feet in length. It is plaster and wax, designed to look like ivory. It is by Maurice Lambert, entitled Sport and Speed. Everything in this panel is in motion. Even the artwork suggests that we are a fast ship. Please, follow me right this way. Our ship. Now originally the playroom was a little bit wider, a little bit longer, and a little bit taller, going up to about 12 feet. And there was a slide along this wall from the top to the bottom of the room. That slide would have been a lot of fun in the rough North Atlantic waves, bouncing your way down. Now we had a full-time attendant on staff to take care of your kids so that you adults could also go play. The observation bar is a beautiful room to take in a view of the North Atlantic, provided the seas were nice and calm like they are today. In very rough weather, these doors were locked and nobody went past this point, because in the rough North Atlantic, the waves could reach these windows. We are 65 feet above the waterline. Gives you an idea of how rough the North Atlantic can get. Now we're going to be passing through the observation bar. It is an open, active bar. We are a large group, so we won't be able to stop inside. We're just going to continue out the other side. But there's some artwork to look for as we pass through. The first thing you will notice, the silver metal handrail or balustrade going around the room. It's aluminum by Austin Crompton Roberts, featuring mythical beasts and beer barrels. The bar itself is also in the shape of a large beer barrel. The wood used in the bar is Makassar ebony from Indonesia. And above the bar is a mural entitled Royal Jubilee Week. It celebrates King George V's 25th year as king. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay together. Follow me right this way. So ladies and gentlemen, we are out here on the Promenade Deck. The Promenade Deck used to go all the way around the ship. It was 1/4 mile to do a complete lap. But you can no longer go all the way around. If you look ahead, Spencer Tracy is blocking our path. That is the observation bar that has been expanded out onto this decking here in Long Beach. Now, this was 1/4 mile, as I mentioned. You could get up in the morning, do your 4 laps, and get your mile walk in for the day. Not all of our passengers have been content to stroll the promenade. In 1936, when the ship was undergoing her speed trials to see how fast we could really go, one of our invited guests, David Exeter, Lord Burleigh, he ran the entire 1/4 mile in under 60 seconds in his tuxedo and dress shoes. He was an Olympic sprinter, and so we invited the world's fastest man to run on the world's fastest ship. Now, the decking you are standing on is the original wood surface. It is Burmese teak, very durable, very long-lasting. All we've done to it here in California is varnish it to keep it from drying out in the sun. Burmese teak is chosen because when it's not varnished, it is relatively non-skid. It's also high in oil content, makes it impervious to insect and fire damage. Now, you may feel a bit off balance here on the promenade. The decking is not level on purpose. It's not sinking in the middle of the ship. It is higher at the ends and is lower in the center in what is called sheared to deck. It's a curve we build into the hull to let the ship flex and bend in the rough North Atlantic. As you went over a wave, you had to bend along with it or risk snapping. If you want to see some of the construction of the ship, just look above you. We are not welded together, we are held together by rivets. Rivets are the small bumps that you see. They are bolts essentially placed by 2 people, one on each side of the steel. Rivets have just enough give so the ship can flex. There are over 10 million of them holding us together. Ladies and gentlemen, right this way. I mentioned you can take photographs anywhere you'd like. So if you have a camera and have not used it yet, get it ready. This is the room you want to use it in.
Nice. Wow, look at that. Wow, look, they got their own fireplace.
Okay.
Yeah. Look at that, that's gorgeous. They got their own theater also, look.
That's the chapter.
Man, that is so beautiful.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first class main passenger lounge. Back in the sailing days, large overstuffed chairs filled the room, built-in carpets covered the floor. In the evening, all of that would be pushed aside, exposing the beautiful oak, mahogany, and laurelwood parquet floor you see here by the fireplace. Like I mentioned, we had over 2 million passengers, 800,000 soldiers, 22,000 war brides, and over 50 million visitors here to Long Beach. This is all of the original flooring in this room that has survived. Everything else has been replaced. Now you notice there are 3 fireplaces in the room. They are electric. They always have been. Fire and ships do not get along, so we limited the number of fires we had on board. Now the mantle of the fireplace, as well as all 8 of the beautiful lighting urns around the room, they're all cut from the same block of gold and onyx. A beautiful stone quarried from the same block, so it has the same color and grain throughout the entire room. Now the theme of this room is music. If you look above all 4 of the original entryway doors, as well as above the stage, you see bronzes entitled Symphony. The artist is Maurice Lambert, the same artist who did the frieze in the main hall. Over the 2 central fireplaces, next to the rose-colored glass mirrors, you see etched glass panels, also very musical in their theme. And here on the forward bulkhead over the main fireplace, my favorite piece of art on board the entire ship, a piece called Unicorns in Battle by Alfred J. Oakley and Gilbert Bays. If you know your mythology, you know what the music is. Legend has it when unicorns fight and their horns touch, the most beautiful music can be heard. Now up above you see there are 5 holes someone has cut in my favorite piece of artwork, turning this room into the first-class movie theater. This was the cinema. There's a projector room on the other side of those windows. We would drop a screen on the stage and show movies to our first-class passengers. On the stage, there would be an organ recital during the day, a live band playing at night. The ship had a public address system, the first of its kind, so a performance in here could be broadcast to the rest of the ship, so second and third class could listen in. Our final peacetime voyage in September of 1939, tensions were running high on the ship as everybody was getting out of Europe before war was declared. Captain recognized everybody was a bit uncomfortable and asked one of our passengers to get up on the stage and entertain the room. It was comedian Bob Hope, just happened to have been a passenger on that last voyage. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you guys a moment to look around the room, explore. There's 2 beautiful bronze statuettes over on the far side. Take a nice close look at them. In just a moment, we'll be heading back out the same door. Welcome to the first-class Gentlemen's Smoking Lounge. Originally designed in 1936 to be men only, after the war, we allowed ladies to join the gentlemen in here. This is decorated like a typical English country cottage. Oak. Pollard oak, brown oak, and tiger oak lines the walls. The fireplace, the travertine marble, this is the only real working fireplace on board the entire ship. We burned coal here. The reason for a real fire in this room is it creates a draft and helps clear the smoke out of the room, bringing it up the flue. There are 2 paintings in the room by the same artist, Edward Wadsworth. This one is called Dressed Overall at the Quay. When a ship is dressed, that means she's wearing all of her signal flags. This piece is called At Sea. It is very symbolic, very surrealist. This piece is over a pantry, a warming station for the stewards. Hot coffee or tea would be served right there. There was a refrigerator underneath for cold snacks. If you wanted something a little stronger, there was a stand-up style American bar right over here on the side. Now, there are 2 wood carvings right here by James Woodford, pierced limewood carvings. They show nautical life here. There's a 3rd one around the corner that shows shipboard activities, games, recreation. Now you see up at the top there is a clock mounted to the top of the wall. It is still correct, it is still working, but as we sailed, we had to change time zones as we sailed across the Atlantic. Who can reach that clock to change it? None of us. So at the stroke of midnight, every day, we would adjust the master clock up in the bridge, and every single other clock mounted to the ship would adjust itself along with it. That's about 700 clocks. That would take a while to do by hand, and so we didn't. During World War II, this room became a hospital. About 80 bunks were in here for the injured. 16 for women, 16 for critically injured, and the rest for men. just in this one room. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, please take a look around. We'll head out in just a moment.
That's nice. Antique na ito. Ito sa ano nila, preserve.
Yeah.
Weddings were not performed at sea under British law. We are no longer under British law. We do now perform weddings on board. In fact, we had one this morning. And so we have turned the second class smoking lounge into our wedding chapel. All right, we have one more stop. We're going out the door and up one level. So please watch your step right this way.
Carnival.
Ma, sa mo ito?
Doon tayo sa dulo.
Wow! It's just a what? I got it! I got it! I can check you when you're done. It's a
So ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, we did not perform weddings on board the ship back in our sailing days, but we do now. The gazebo you see right here used to be our tennis court. And now we've put a wedding gazebo on it and offers beautiful views out into the harbor. Now, just to the side of us, you can see the town of Long Beach. Long Beach used to be a very long beach. You can see the sand going all the way up to about the marina. The beach used to continue all the way along, but in 1967 the marina was built. We came here, kind of revitalized the city of Long Beach. On a clear day, you can see all the way to the Hollywood sign. It is not a clear day today. It's nice and hazy here at the Pacific. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to head inside for our last stop. Please do watch your step right this way. In here. Come on in right up here to the upper landing. I'm going to let you guys look around in just a moment. She was just mopping the floor over there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Veranda Grill. This was the first class nightclub. It was either the Veranda Grill during the day or the Starlight Lounge at night. This is where first class passengers went to get away from other first class passengers. This was the exclusive nightclub, and you had to pay a little extra just to come in here. And it was so exclusive you were only allowed in here once per voyage. So a 5-day crossing, you only get one night in here. Now we had some very notable guests. Walt Disney had a regular table right over here where you're standing because he liked the way New York looked at night when the ship returned. Henry Ford Jr. had a table over on this side, and it is from that table he spotted his future wife dancing on the dance floor down below. And every time they traveled aboard, they said it wasn't a proper voyage unless they dined at that same table. Now the theme of this room is entertainment, and this room is very different from every other space on board because there's no woodwork as the primary feature. It's all white walls, murals, and black carpeting. The black carpeting was the choice of the designer of the room. Her name was Doris Zinkiezen. She was a Scottish set decorator. She requested black carpeting because it's easier to change out if it gets stained. Also, she knew the gentlemen coming up here would be wearing their white tuxedos or black dinner jackets, and they would look fantastic. They'd match. Ladies could wear any color dress they wanted, and they would stand out and look fantastic. This room was decorated perfectly. Now the columns, Doris Zinkiezen also painted those, and the main mural right here. The pieces are called entertainment. They show circus and performer life. This piece, unfortunately, was damaged in World War II, not by any enemy action, but because this is the room that all the gunnery officers used as their office. So the people in charge of protecting the ship. This was covered in burlap, and they saw this wall and tacked all their maps to it. At the end of the war, the burlap was taken down, this piece was destroyed by pinholes, and so Doris was requested to come back and repaint it. And so this goes back to 1947, not 1936 like the columns. So ladies and gentlemen, before I let you go to look around this room and explore just a bit, does anybody have any questions for me about this beautiful ship or any place that we've gone? Yes?
Why was the kids' room?
Why was the kids' room minimized? It's had a few different uses throughout the years. It was a t-shirt store for a while, and they knocked out some walls and shortened it. Also brought the ceiling down so we could put in lighting and air conditioning. But yes, it was a much bigger room back in the day. Any other questions? Yes?
What separated you, like as first class, second, just depending on how much money you have? Or?
Correct. And between the sections of the ship, there would be gates so that you couldn't wander as second and third class. You couldn't wander into first class. They would check your tickets at every stop. First class, they were allowed to go anywhere on the ship they wanted. So first class could go all over the ship. And it's often said that first class guests would leave their parties in first class to go into second class because they were having more fun. It wasn't quite as formal. So yeah, first class could wander the ship, second and third had to stay at their ends. Good question. Any others? Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let you look around this room. I want you to stay in this room. That side of the floor is wet where she was just mopping, so you can go down here and take a better look at the mural or cut straight across. Just stay in this room. We're going to be heading out here in just a moment. If you have any other questions, I'll be right by the doorway. Otherwise, on behalf of the RMS Queen Mary, thank you guys so much for coming aboard. Please enjoy the rest of your stay with us today. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Be careful, the floor is wet right here.
Oh, thanks.
Don't know it's wet.
Yeah, but over here, come on.
Aber ich glaube nicht, was glaubst du, werden wir den ersten Pass diese Nebel sehen? Weil haben wir ja nicht.
Check the phone.